अस्सलाम वालेकुम स्टूडेंट्स, वेलकम टू माय चैनल। आज हम ECE201 के MCQs और शॉर्ट आंसर्स जो है वो प्रिपेयर करने लगे हैं और इसका ये पार्ट 1 है। लेक्चर वाइज MCQs इसमें मैं आपको बताऊंगी ये लेक्चर 1 से लेक्चर 11 तक कवर करेंगे, यानी कि लेसन 1 से लेसन 11 तक ये कवर करेंगे और इसमें टॉपिक नंबर 1 से 61 तक मुकम्मल कवर किया गया है। ठीक है, इंपॉर्टेंट मिड टर्म के हवाले से जो है ये MCQs और शॉर्ट आंसर्स हैं। आई होप कि आपके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा यूजफुल रहेंगे, तो वीडियो कंप्लीट ज़रूर देखिएगा। चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं। Language is primarily a tool for communication and expression. According to Vygotsky, language is the main source of communicating culture. Which aspect of a language refers to the ability to create an infinite numbers of sentences? Generative ability. Language helps in communication and transmitting knowledge. Social interaction as an aspect of language implies language helps in establishing and maintaining relationships. ठीक है, देखिए ये MCQs मैं दोबारा से बता दूं कि मैंने इस मकसद से बनाया है कि आपके MCQs भी कवर करें और शॉर्ट आंसर्स भी कवर करें। ठीक है, इसलिए आंसर्स थोड़े थोड़े से MCQs के हवाले हिसाब से थोड़े लेंथी हैं। ठीक है, तो देख लीजिएगा। At what age can infants recognize word boundaries and start distinguishing group of sounds? 8 months. By what age are approximately 90% of children's sentences grammatically correct? 30 to 36 months. Which of the following is the first stage of language development? Sounds. At around 18 months, children can communicate basic needs and distinguish nouns and verbs. During the sentence development stage, children learn to combine words in correct order. Why is language considered critical for humans? Because it differentiates humans from animals. Learning a foreign language can provide new perspectives and improve brain functions. Which of the following is not a need of language? Flying. Verbal and non-verbal are types of language. According to B.F. Skinner, language development occurs through operant conditioning and reinforcement. The language acquisition device (LAD) concept is proposed by Noam Chomsky. Interactionist theory emphasizes both social interaction and biological factors. Cognitive processing theory suggests that language development is closely linked to cognitive development. Which component of language studies sounds and their system in a language? Phonology. The smallest unit of meaning in language are called morphemes. Pragmatics in language refers to social and cultural rules of language use. Syntax is important because it helps children order words correctly to form sentences. Semantics deals with meaning of words and how they are combined. A phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in a language. How many phonemes are approximately present in English? 44. Changing a phoneme in a word can change the meaning of the word. Which of the following is an example of a phoneme distinction? Pen and pin. Phonemes are important for children because they allow children to distinguish and produce sounds. Phonology is the study of sound patterns in language. Minimal pairs in phonology refer to words that differ in only one sound. The word shape has how many phonemes? There are 3 phonemes in a word shape. Why is phonology important in language development? It helps children understand sound patterns and communicate effectively. Which of the following is true about phonemes and letters? Several letters can correspond to one phoneme. Morphology studies word structure and formation form morphemes. In word unhappily, how many morphemes are present? There are 3 morphemes. Prefixes and suffixes are example of morphemes. By around age 2, children typically develop ability to use inflectional morphemes. Morphology is important because it allows children to understand how words are constructed and modified. Syntax refer to rules governing sentence structure. Which sentence is correct syntactically? Ahmed ate the apple. Syntax help children to combine words to form meaningful sentences. Word order in a sentence determines meaning and grammatical correctness. Semantics deal with word meanings and conveying message. Pragmatics focuses on social rules and context-based use of language. Understanding that a child speaks differently to parents than friends is part of pragmatics. Semantics is culture dependent because words and meanings can vary across cultures. Pragmatics help children to use language effectively in different social situations. Grammar is defined as the systematic study and rules governing language. According to Noam Chomsky, humans acquire language using language acquisition device. Grammar in children's language development refers to the rules children learn to produce and understand language. Which of the following is not part of grammar? Colors. Mental grammar refers to knowledge of language in the mind. Developmental grammar is grammar rules used at the learning stage of language. Descriptive grammar focuses on describing language as it is used. Perspective grammar is concerned with defining proper and socially acceptable language use. In language development, which type of grammar is more important for children? It's descriptive grammar. Productivity in language refers to the ability to produce an infinite number of sentences. Interchangeability in language means both sender and receiver can send and receive messages. Arbitrariness in language indicates sounds of words have no inherent connection to meaning. Displacement in human language refers to talking about things beyond the immediate environment. Cultural transmission of language means language conveys cultural norms and traditions. Discreteness in language refers to language composed of discrete units like phonemes and words. Creativity in language allows children to use language in new and novel ways. Which feature allows humans to discuss past, future, or imaginary events? It's displacement. Animals' communication is mainly based on sounds, body language, and chemical signals. Animal can use communication to convey danger, food sources, and mating opportunities. Which statement is correct about human versus animal language? Humans can communicate beyond the immediate environment, while animals cannot. Arbitrariness in language means there is no inherent connection between sounds and meanings. Productivity in language refers to the ability to create new utterances using finite rules. Cultural transmission of language indicates language is learned through exposure and social environment. Discreteness in language refers to language made of discrete units like phonemes and words. Duality of patterning refers to language has two levels of structure, sounds, and larger units like words. Language as a social tool is important because it helps express thoughts, feelings, and ideas in social context. Who studied action performed with words such as assertions and commands? J.L. Austin. Language as a social tool depends on situations and environment. A rule-governed system in language means language follows specific rules and principles. Key feature of language as a rule-governed system include grammar, morphology, phonology, semantics, and pragmatics. Rule-governed language allows us to create new sentences and understand others' sentences. Language as generative means producing infinite sentences from a finite set of rules. Who proposed the theory of generative grammar? Noam Chomsky. Generative grammar helps children to combine words and sentences to convey complex meanings. Creativity in language allows children to produce and understand an infinite numbers of sentences. The prelinguistic phase in infants is characterized by cries, coos, and babbling. At 12 to 18 months, toddlers usually enter the holophrastic phase. Telegraphic speech in children occurs around 2 to 2.5 years. Language refinement, where complex sentences are spoken, occurs around 3 to 5 years. The language acquisition device was proposed by Noam Chomsky. According to nativism, language development is inborn and biologically programmed. Interactionism emphasizes that language development depends on both biological and environmental factors. Behaviorism theory of language development focuses on environmental influences and stimuli. Receptive language development refers to ability to understand and label objects. Expressive language development refers to using language to express thoughts, feelings, and intention. Children at the referential stage are more associated with adults. Expressive language development involves copying rhythm and beats of speech. The first transition in language development occurs around 12 months. The second transition involves joining words into longer, more complex utterances. The third transition, around age 4, helps children develop metalinguistic awareness and complex sentences skill. One of the first key signs of language development in infant is babbling and gesture. Babbling usually begins around 6 months. Gesture in infants, such as pointing and waving, helps to communicate intentions and desires. Vocabulary acquisition by preschool age typically include thousands of words. Nature in language development refers to genetic and biological factors. Nurture in language development refers to environmental factors such as caregiver interactions. Research suggests that strong language skills develop when children are exposed to language-rich environments. Genetic factor in language development can influence ability to learn vocabulary and grammar. Innovation in language development refers to novel genetic factors emerging during development. Amplification in language development refers to genetic influences expressed through traits across development. Individual indifference in language development can result from cognitive abilities, temperament, and environment. Children exposed language-poor environments are more likely to experience delay or difficulties in language development. Exposure to multiple dialects and languages can lead to greater linguistic flexibility and cognitive advantages. A key strategy of nurturing a child's language development is reading routinely and using rich vocabulary. Environmental influences in language development include family interactions and caregiver speech. Age influences language development because children learn complex sentences as they grow. Motivation in language learning can be intrinsic and extrinsic. Aptitude in language development refers to inborn capability to learn language. Children with higher intelligence are likely to develop strong language skills. Positive attitudes of children towards learning a language promote easier language acquisition. Behaviorism emphasizes learning through experience, imitation, and reinforcement. Cognitivism compares the human mind to a computer. Constructivism emphasizes that learners actively construct knowledge using prior experiences. Humanism in learning emphasizes learners' self-concept, emotions, and potential. According to Chomsky, children are born with language acquisition device and universal grammar. A nativist perspective argues that language acquisition is influenced by genetic and neurological factors. Universal grammar refers to innate set of rules present in all humans. B.F. Skinner proposed operant conditioning. Operant conditioning involves learning through reinforcement and punishment. Skinner believed behavior is shaped primarily by external environmental factors. The generative perspective was proposed by Noam Chomsky. According to generative perspective, humans can generate infinite sentences using finite rule. In generative grammars, competence refers to idealized knowledge of grammar and syntax. Performance in generative perspective refers to actual use of language in real situations. Constructivism emphasizes that learners actively construct knowledge using prior experiences. The teacher's role in constructivist teaching is to facilitate and guide learning. Constructive perspective in language development suggests children actively use cognitive abilities to understand language. Varieties of constructivism include educational, philosophical, and sociological. According to B.F. Skinner, language is learned through reinforcement and punishment. Noam Chomsky proposed that infants have language acquisition device. Social pragmatic views emphasizes active engagement and interaction with others. The sensory motor stage involves learning through senses and movement, and the sensory motor stage is 0 to 2 years. The concrete operational stage, that is 7 to 12 years, involves thinking logically about concrete objects. Pre-operational stage, that is 2 to 7 years, is characterized by symbolic thinking but difficulty with logical reasoning. Piaget theory emphasizes that children learn by actively constructing understanding of the world. Gender refers to socially constructed roles and characteristics of men and women. The difference between sex and gender is that sex is biological, gender is socially constructed. Gender equality means rights, responsibilities, and opportunities are not determined by gender. The first stage of language development is pre-linguistic or cooing. Babbling typically occurs around 6 to 10 months. Polyphastic or single word stage occurs at 12 to 18 months. In the two-word stage, children combine two words to express ideas. The telegraphic stage occurs around 24 to 30 months. 24 to 30 months. Multi-word stage is characterized by using complex sentences and simple conversation. Early language development provides foundation for cognitive skills like problem solving and critical thinking. Vygotsky emphasized that language development occurs through social interactions with knowledgeable others. Language refinement between age 3 to 5 leads to fluency, grammar, and communication strategies. The pre-linguistic stage occurs during first 6 months of life. Cooing occurs at around after 5 months. Babbling stage involves experimenting with syllables like mama, baba. At birth, infants can hear and recognize sounds in their environment. By 2 to 3 months, infants typically coo and make vowel-like sounds. Babbling usually begins at 4 to 6 months. Babbling incorporates sounds from the infant's native language. The one-word stage is also called holophrastic stage. Around 8 months, infant can recognize familiar words and respond to their names. By 12 to 18 months, children typically start understanding gestures and use one-word utterances. The language spurt or naming explosion occurs around 18 months. At age 2, children usually have a vocabulary of a few hundred words. Stage 3 of language development usually occurs at 2 to 3 years. Telegraphic speech refers to two-word utterances containing only essential information. Over-regularization occurs when children apply grammatical rules to irregular words, for example, foods. At around 2.5 years, children can produce more complex sentences with 4 or more words. By age 3 to 6 years, children can use negation, embedded sentences, and comprehend passive voices. A compound sentence is characterized by two simple sentences joined by a conjunction. All children learn language at the same pace. Stage 1 of language development focuses on distinguishing and producing sounds. Stage 2 of language development involves vocabulary expansion and linking words with meaning. Stage 3 focuses on sentence structure and grammar rules. Which of the following is an implication of educators and parents, providing a language-rich environment? Toddler's age is usually defined as 1 to 4 years. First words in toddlers typically appears around 12 months. Around 18 months, toddlers typically use 7 to 9 new words a day and know about 50 words. A telegraphic stage in toddlers refers to using 1 or 2 words to convey entire thoughts. Crib talk refers to monologue where toddlers practice conversational skills. The one-word stage is also called holophrastic stage. Single-word utterances help children communicate meaning effectively and build foundation for sentences. In the one-word stage, a child saying milk may mean I spilled the milk. Pragmatics is the study of how context influences language use. Pragmatic information differs from semantic information because it arises from actual use of language in context. इसके साथ ही हमारा ये पार्ट यही मुकम्मल होता है। मुझे उम्मीद है कि ये एमसीक्यू और शॉर्ट आंसर्स आपके लिए बहुत यूजफुल रहेंगे। वीडियो पसंद आई हो तो आप इसे लाइक जरूर कीजिएगा। अगर आप मुझे अपना कोई फीडबैक देना चाहें, अगर आप मुझे कुछ सजेस्ट करना चाहें तो जरूर मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में बताइएगा। चैनल सब्सक्राइब करना हरगिज़ ना भूलिएगा और मेरी इन वीडियोस को अपने फेलो स्टूडेंट्स तक वर्चुअल यूनिवर्सिटी के डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स में जरूर पहुंचाइएगा ताकि ज्यादा से ज्यादा स्टूडेंट मिड टर्म के लिए इन वीडियो से फायदा हासिल कर सके। मैं इंशाअल्लाह इसके अगले पार्ट के साथ जल्द हाजिर होंगी। तब तक आप सब अपना बहुत ख्याल रखिएगा। अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।